Hello and welcome everybody to another StarCraft 2 cast by Glitch. Today I'm bringing to you Game 1 of the NASL Grand Finals 2011 between STJuly and WeMadeMoon. Spawning here in the 12 o'clock position as the red Zerg, we have WeMadeMoon. Spawning in the 6 o'clock position as the blue Zerg, we have STJuly. So ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a ZVZ, and I don't know why I felt like doing a ZVZ, but I don't know, these were just such a good set of games from NASL, and I don't know, I was just in the mood for some ZVZ, so I'm hoping for a couple of good games. This is going to be a best of 3 actually, so I will be casting the whole series. And hopefully we will see some really good Zerg versus Zerg play from both of these amazing Korean players. They have spawned cross positions now, so any kind of early pressure is always, while it is common in ZVZ, it becomes a little less applicable in this situation when you spawn cross positions like this. They have scouted each other's close air positions, and they have seen no creep there, so both now know that they are not spawning in direct close positions, though they could still be directly across from each other. I guess I was going to say horizontally, but I guess that's not quite horizontally. Now we do have an interesting difference in buildings here going down. Both players, looks like WeMadeMoon decided to go for a little bit more economy, decided to get an early gas geyser and then pool, whereas STJuly did manage to go for that early spawning pool and is not getting any gas at all, so it'll be interesting to see what both of these players are planning on doing. Getting this early spawning pool is almost always necessary in ZVZ just because of the potential to get, well, basically if your opponent beats you out and gets that earlier pool than you are up for a lot of damage if you have nothing to defend. So getting up that early pool is a very common move in Zerg versus Zerg, though lately actually I have seen a swell from Korean players of just early expanding. A lot of Zerg players, even in the ZVZ matchup, have been expanding early with no pool, which has been very interesting, but it's starting to become a little bit more common, so common that players are actually just doing it blindly now every now and then. Now we do have 6 Zerglings moving across the map for STJuly. They are about to move into the base of WeMadeMoon, and he's going to have a few Zerglings here to defend, but I think with all these drones here, he is going to be able to hold off these Zerglings. Trying to get a good surround with those Zerglings, trying to use the mineral ghosting trick, where he right-clicks on a mineral patch that the drones ghost through the Zerglings, and then suddenly attack move commanding, so that it traps all the Zerglings in position, and the Queen just pops out, and all these Zerglings are getting a very good surround. July looks like he's going to be taking down the Queen. Yes, he did manage to take down that Queen, but looks like WeMadeMoon has managed to defend that attack. If we check out the Harvester count, Moon is going to be just a little bit ahead. He was at 16 Harvesters to July's 14, though that has now evened out. It looks like after that early pressure, July has decided to just go for a lot of drones, and is now just trying to get a few drones up of his own. Looks like he might be gearing up for an expansion pretty soon. He is throwing down a Roach Warren now. And WeMadeMoon is now throwing down a Baneling nest, so we have a little bit of an interesting difference in tech here. A few Zerglings now moving across the map for WeMadeMoon. Gonna try to see if they can snipe that Overlord. It does take 4 Zerglings. They are gonna be able to snipe that Overlord, looks like. It does take 4 Zerglings to take out a Queen, if I am not mistaken. So there are only 3 Zerglings left, so they are gonna go run around the map and get a little bit of a scout. He does see that this Roach Warren has gone down, and I wouldn't be surprised. Sometimes it wouldn't be terribly uncommon for a lot of Zerg players, when they scout that Roach Warren, to just cancel their Baneling nest and immediately swap for that Roach Warren. But it looks like WeMadeMoon was either too late, or he just decided that he would rather keep that Baneling nest and try to put on some early pressure here, as he does have some Zerglings now moving across the map. One Baneling being morphed in here in the back of STJuly's base, and he does not know about this. He does have a crew of Slowlings now moving across the map, and Moon is taking his expansion. But the Link's coming around for Moon, and it looks like he's just going to be able to sneak around the back, and he might actually be able to get another Queen kill off. More Zerglings just now spawning, but this Baneling now coming in gets 4 Zergling kills, and looks like July is just barely going to be able to clean up that attack. In the meantime, a lot of Zerglings moving into the main of WeMadeMoon. July looking for an opening here to try to deal some damage, but this Baneling that is running around is looking deadly to those Zerglings. Those Zerglings now just pulling back, a couple more Banelings being morphed for defense in the base of WeMadeMoon. So Very nice little defense there from WeMadeMoon. Always a good choice to go for those banelings when you know your opponent is going for lings, but I wouldn't produce too many of those banelings if I was Moon, just because of the danger of roaches. He knows that this roach warren is up. He knows that there could be a swell of roaches coming soon. But with this many Zerglings across the map, he's got to be feeling pretty confident that not too many roaches have been built, just because July has devoted a lot of larvae to producing this many Zerglings. Checking out the harvester count right now, we can see that they are dead even in harvesters. Couple of banelings here running around the map trying to keep these Zerglings away, trying to prevent them from doing too much damage, and oh man, trying to get a good surround with those Zerglings. July needs to be very, very careful, because if WeMadeMoon can get a good surround on those Zerglings, he can just hold them in place while those banelings come in and do massive amounts of damage. So, that did not indeed happen, and looks like Moon is going to be pushing back, so we are seeing a lot of back and forth here between these two players. A second base now coming up for July. Looks like that this timing is going to end up being okay, because although WeMadeMoon got his hatchery up earlier, he is just now starting to mine off of it, and some roaches are now up for July, so it looks like he's going to be able to defend this expansion. This expansion will stay up, and they will be just about even on econ, though now that Moon has his Zerglings here out at the front of July's base, he's been streaming forward with a lot of drones now coming up, taking the lead in the harvester count, 31 to 27 right now. And looks like he's going to be trying to go for a little bit more economic style of play. Checking out the production tab right now, we can see that there's an evolution chamber now coming up for Startails July. Looks like he's going to be getting some early upgrades. I like this move. I always love early upgrades in this ZVZ matchup, just because so often it ends up just being Roach Infester versus Roach Infester. If you can get that early +1 attack upgrade, you can manage to get just a bit of an advantage. The earlier the better, and your roaches will do just that much better. And it's really, if you think about it, the cost to get a +1 attack upgrade for those roaches is just like the cost of, I don't know, 2 roaches, 2 or 3 roaches, depending on how you're looking at those minerals and gas. So it can be really, really worth it. Just the cost for the price of just a couple of roaches, you have your entire army of roaches get much better than your opponents with that +1 attack upgrade. Pack of Zerglings now swarming around the map for both players, actually. Both players trying to stay very active. A couple of banelings in the back of Startails July's base, as these banelings are going to try to come in and do a lot of damage here, but these overlords are moving into position, and they have scouted those banelings. Looks like they are going to be pulling out, and these roaches will be able to snipe the rest of those banelings. In the meantime, Zerglings coming around to the front of Moon's base, and ooh, nice little baneling there by Moon. Manages to take out those Zerglings and deny them any kind of scouting information, and both players now getting their +1 attack upgrade. July is just a tiny bit, just a smidgen ahead. Checking out the harvester count, though, Moon is just way ahead in harvesters, 53 to 36 harvesters. He is getting a crazy number of harvesters, but if we check out the units tab right now, we can see why. We can see that July has gotten a lot of roaches. He now has 18 roaches out on the field to Moon's 0 roaches. He currently has no roaches on the field. Very nice overlord placement here. If we check out the vision of WeMadeMoon, he has vision over the entire map. So excellent, excellent placement. He is now seeing these roaches move in, and he's going to have to start producing a lot of roaches. I'm kind of worried here that Moon might have over-droned and has not produced enough units. There are now a ton of roaches coming into his base, and he's going to need to throw up a lot of spine crawlers and get up a lot of roaches very fast to try to combat this many roaches. Only 5 roaches coming up right now. That is not going to be enough to hold up this many roaches, which are about to have their +1 attack upgrade, and they're almost just barely. There we have it. The +1 attack upgrade is now up, and July is now going to be moving in. On the production tab, we can see that July is producing a lot of Zerglings here, trying to push in, trying to rally as many as he can. A lot of banelings here coming in from the back of WeMadeMoon. A lot of damage actually being dealt to those roaches. That was a ton, but there are just too many roaches here. I don't think WeMadeMoon is going to be able to hold this off, and July is now streaming in with a lot of roaches, lots of Zerglings now being rallied in, and looks like this attack is going to be very successful by July, and I don't know if Moon is going to be able to hold this off. He does have some roaches up on the high ground, a lot of damage being done, but the Zerglings just streaming in, so many Zerglings coming in. We can see that I think this damage is going to be too much for Moon to come back from. This is going to just do so much damage. Now moving into the main with those roaches, it looks like July pulling off all the drones now from Moon, and looks like these roaches are going to get a ton of drone kills. As we can see, 29 workers have already been killed, putting him way up in the harvester count, 36 to 28 harvesters, and yeah, I think WeMadeMoon is probably going to be forced to GG here. Looks like he's going to clean this up, but man, he is way behind in the harvester count. This is not a good position to be in. 26 harvesters, 236, and more roaches actually streaming in still from July, still rallying in more units, trying to get as many zerglings as he can into the base of WeMadeMoon, and I don't think he's going to be able to keep up with this production from July. Getting a good surround there on the ramp of these roaches, and looks like July is now just pushing in fearlessly into the base of WeMadeMoon, and he gets a good surround on those roaches, and it looks like the damage is done. I expected GG from Moon, and there it is, the GG. Moon was going for a little bit economic style of play, got a lot of drones, but I got just too many drones. Too many drones, did not have a good read on what his opponent was doing, didn't realize how many roaches his opponent had. This is why scouting is absolutely critical in the ZVZ matchup. You need to constantly know what your opponent is doing, how many drones he's got, how many zerglings and roaches he's got at the front of his base, and Moon just droned a little bit too hard. That economy would have paid off for him eventually, didn't manage to get there, so StarTales July takes game 1, and that means we are going to be going into game 2 to see if WeMadeMoon can take his revenge in just a moment, guys.